Have you ever heard of the platinum rule? Um, I've heard of the platinum rule. I learned it from elementary school, which is a story we'll get into in a second. But basically, the platinum rule is to treat others the way that they want to be treated, which a lot of people don't necessarily think about because they always hear the golden rule: treat others the way that you want to be treated, which that's fine. It's okay to have to use the golden rule, especially with little kids, because little kids, let's be real, they like to treat other people kind of like, you know, kind of like resource mines, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, the platinum rule. It's important um that we start to implant the platinum rule within our lives to to treat others the way that they want to be treated, because unfortunately for a lot of us, we don't necessarily think about how would that make how would my actions make another person feel, right? And I'm going to some stories in a second about that. But that's why I think it's important that we actually start to take the steps to implant the platinum rule in our life. But how I actually learned the platinum rule was from elementary school at Gilcrease Elementary in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was a great school, loved it, loved going there. I think it shut down actually. But I was in this one teacher's class, and I had way longer hair than this. My hair was like down like to the middle of my back, and there was this girl. I didn't know her that well, but she always like pulled my hair and was always just a oh, almost said a bad word right there. She was always just like such a mean person to me. You know what I mean? And so one day, I don't know why, boom, she snipped my hair. And she didn't cut off a lot. She did not cut off a lot. It really wasn't even that noticeable because I had a lot. But I was mad, but also I was just more like confused. I was like, why would you do that? Like, what caused you to do that? And so we went to like the counselor's office. Basically, it was like a little hut or whatever. Man, it smelled like paper. It was like one of those, elementary school offices. And we walked in there, and it was this nice Caucasian lady, and she was like, I forgot the girl's name. Let's just call her Z. She's like, Z, why'd you cut his hair? And Z was like, because I wanted to. And she was like the counselor, of course, was like, well, that's not right. You're not supposed to do that. Like, what if he cut your hair? And she was like, what? I don't care. I don't care if he cuts my hair. And I wasn't gonna do that. Obviously, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not gonna get revenge. I wanted to, I wanted to for sure, but I'm not finna, get suspended over some malarkey like that. But she was like, I don't care. She was basically saying I don't care how like I get like if I treat her bad, or she basically was just saying I don't care. I know she really did, but she was trying to be like, a smart aleck. So the counselor eventually said, well, it doesn't matter how you want to be treated. Have you heard of the platinum rule? That's what the counselor asked us. And we were both like, no. She asked us both, and we were both like, no. And she basically broke it down to us. She was like, well, platinum rule is you got to treat others the way that they want to be treated. And I found that to be very important, very much so on later in life. But for the time being, I obviously took that to heart. But I didn't do anything wrong. I was a victim. I was like, well, okay, but my hair's still cut. It's not, those wise words of wisdom ain't gonna reattach my hair. But no, that situation basically got resolved. She got suspended or something. My mom was livid. Like, she was so fucking mad. I was so freaking mad. She was so freaking mad. I'm pretty sure I can keep that in. And I don't have any editing software, so I don't know. But I found that to be very useful later on in life because there was multiple situations where I needed, I wanted to be treated a certain way and I wasn't, or I wanted to be treated a certain way and I was, or somebody wanted to be treated a certain way and I didn't do it, or I did do it. We all have those situations in life, but I'm just gonna share a couple of those situations and a few reflections about it. Like, so, so basically, there was one time that I got caught smoking weed at my grandparents' house. Unfortunately, and it was very embarrassing, very livid. I got cussed out a lot, and I was like about 16, 17. So I should not have been doing it, but like everybody was, it was very dumb of me to be doing that at my grandparents' house. It was very dumb of me to be doing that at my grandparents' house, but you know, dumb teenager. I'm still a dumb teenager, so stuff's gonna happen. But basically, I was like, okay, I took the punishment, but one thing I really did take from it was like my grandpa came in there and yelled at me. Like my grandpa really didn't yell at me except for a few occasions, and he never really apologized for those other occasions, which I'll get into later. But he came in there and like this was the longest. He would like he was so mad, but he wasn't like put his hands on you mad. He was more like, what are you doing? Like what are you doing? Like what are you doing, man? And so I just got yelled at, cussed at, the whole shebang. And eventually it got to a point where he stormed off, he left. I mean, he didn't necessarily storm, he just went somewhere, but he wasn't no longer there and I was just chilling. I really don't really take any insults like that to heart, like, or any like, cussing and shit. I mean stuff. Because just growing up around my parents and my friends, and it's very common. So yeah, he storms off, and I was like, dang, I got all that for just smoking some weed. And eventually he comes back, and he comes into my room, and he's like, I want to apologize, and which kind of took me for a shock because he has apologized for certain stuff before, but that mainly was like that was different things. That was a whole different scenario. But it wasn't like for disciplining me. He would never apologize for discipline, which I would hope not. But he came to in the room and said he apologizes and he realizes like I'm at that age, and he gave me that whole talk about being safe and make sure you're smart and all that, and just it was like a whole thing. I was getting cussed out 1 second, and then like 3 or 4 hours later, he's telling me about times that he smoked back in the day. So that's how I wanted it to be handled at first. Unfortunately, and it wasn't handled like if I had a kid, let's say, and I caught him smoking, or a grandkid and I caught him smoking, I probably wouldn't have handled it at the first reaction like that. But I understand, and I would never ever blame them for that because I was completely in the wrong at the end of the day. But that situation is just an example of me being treated like at first the way that I didn't want to be treated, but then eventually like the resolution of that situation, I was treated the way that I did want to be treated. Which which goes to show you like sometimes it just takes a little bit of time, and sometimes like your initial reactions like just gonna be like you're not gonna be able to treat someone the way that they want to be treated because you're trying to basically put your anger and emotion into them, if that makes any sense. But let me get to another story. But there was another time. Oh, okay. I guess not. Huh. Well, I'll put another one in. But there was a time that I, didn't treat somebody the way that they wanted to be treated, and I never resolved that situation the right way, unfortunately. Um, I was talking to this girl, and we were very close friends, and that sort of situation, and one thing led to another, and we got in a relationship, like actual real deal, like boyfriend girlfriend, not just talking stages, none of that. And shoot, basically what happened was like I was very emotionally immature at the time, which was on me, and I was just there was a lot of things that were on me, and so I really wasn't ready for a relationship at the time. If I'm being realistic, I don't necessarily think anybody's really necessarily ready at any time to get into one, but I definitely wasn't supposed to be in one at the time. But very immature, let's just say it like that. And so there was just like a day that it was like no communication or very little, and I just ghosted her. And well, wouldn't you know, it came back. It came back to bite me. And like that's just one example. I'm gonna wrap it up because, or not necessarily wrap it up, but I'll start heading towards the end of the script. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's been like that was just that specific situation. I could specifically tell you because the exact same thing eventually happened to me. Like, a girl was talking to me. I mean, I was busy like a whole day. I'd sent her like one text, ghosted, blocked. And you know what? I can't even be mad because, they were thinking, you know, I mean, even at the end of the day, like, I can't even be mad because I would do the exact same thing at the time. But, like, so I wasn't mad about it because of that reason, but also because, like, I kind of deserved it. I did the exact same thing. I felt so bad. I tried to like reconnect, but that never works out. But I learned my lesson from those situations, but I've always kept that platinum rule in mind to treat others the way that they want to be treated because without it, there's very little foundation on like. There's very little foundation, I would say, for at least my the way that I treat people, because then I would be very selfish if I didn't, follow that principle. But now, I I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a good person because I really don't. I don't do it for like credit or anything. I don't do it for like um, any recognition. But I volunteer. You know, I help out like the what's it called? Wings Redemption, which is like a rehab for drug users. But basically, I just bring like boxes of food, and then Gateway, which is like a special needs kind of like organization. They make like they're like basically like aftercare for adults who have disabilities, and not like a rehabilitation, just like they take them out to activities, living center, like all that kind of stuff. And so I volunteer there, and I volunteer at a couple, like an animal shelter, and at a couple events here and there. And it's just because, like, if I, oftentimes, I think I have a little bit of a sympathetic heart. I think just like about like, man, those guys probably need help. Like, and I'm not doing nothing. Like I'm doing nothing. Like after this video, finna go to sleep. Finna probably do some more homework. Finna write the rationale actually, but I'm joking about that. The rationale's already written. But but yeah, I don't necessarily think I'm a better person. I don't think I'm a better person because of it, but I do those things because a lot of times, especially like the rehabilitation and the special needs organization, there's not a lot of volunteers, and I just think like, well, if I'm not doing anything, why shouldn't I help? And I think more people should adapt that mindset, and that's why I say, again, adapt the platinum rule. It's very easy, very like not much to it. Shout out Martin Fulmer. Cooper's on yeah, like the platinum rule is just a great example of like how something can, how a, how should I put it? The platinum rule is a great example of how the way that we treat people is not necessarily we don't necessarily think about it. A lot of times it's automatic reaction because we don't. It just is. So that's why I think that we need to adopt the platinum, because a lot of times we just spew, what we say out of our mouths, not thinking about how it affects people, or not thinking about how it will affect somebody. So, that's about it. Yeah, this is going on YouTube. Subscribe. Catch y'all in the next video, man. Peace.